The party was already in full swing when I got there, music blasting and people everywhere, laughing and dancing. My friend Sarah's place was known for these blowouts, but tonight felt different. Maybe because I wasn't really in the mood for partying, considering the rough week at the dental clinic, dealing with patients who thought flossing was a suggestion rather than a necessity. I was nursing my drink, kinda zoning out, when he walked over. "Seems like you're not enjoying the party much," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. I looked up, a bit taken aback. He was older, probably in his early 40s, with that kind of distinguished look that some men seem to grow into. "Just tired," I admitted, forcing a smile. "Rough week at work." He laughed, a hearty sound that made a few heads turn. "Tell me about it. I'm Mark, by the way." "Laura," I said, shaking his hand. It was warm, his grip firm. "So, Laura, what brings you to this madhouse?" he asked, glancing around at the party chaos. "Sarah's a friend from college. And you?" I was curious. He didn't seem like the usual crowd here. "Ah, I've known Sarah's uncle for years. Promised I'd show my face," he explained. We found ourselves a quieter corner and started talking. Turned out, Mark was into finance, something with stocks, which usually would bore me to tears, but the way he talked about it was kind of fascinating. And funny, too. He had this way of making even the driest topics seem interesting. At some point, he mentioned his upcoming birthday, almost as an afterthought. "It's actually this coming Thursday. Another year closer to oblivion," he joked, a mock toast with his drink. "Happy early birthday, then. I'll have to get you a present," I said, playing along with the jest. He raised an eyebrow, a smile playing on his lips. "Oh, really? Well, I wouldn't say no to that. How about you join me for dinner? Consider it my birthday present." I laughed, thinking he was continuing the joke. "Sure, why not? Beats spending your birthday alone, right?" To my surprise, he took out his phone. "Great. Let me get your number, and I'll send you the details." That's how I ended up agreeing to a dinner for Mark's birthday, barely an hour after meeting him. It was impulsive, sure, but there was something about him, something that made me want to say yes. The night of the dinner came quicker than I thought. It was at this cozy little restaurant downtown, just the right kind of place for a birthday dinner. Mark was already there, waiting with a smile that made my heart do a weird flip. "Happy birthday," I said, handing him a small, wrapped gift. It was just a book I thought he'd like, nothing fancy. He looked genuinely touched, opening it with a care that made me feel, I don't know, special, I guess. "This is perfect, Laura. Thank you." Dinner was amazing. We talked about everything and nothing, from our jobs to the crazy ways of the world. And the more we talked, the more I realized I was enjoying myself, enjoying his company. It was late when we finally left the restaurant. "Thanks for a great birthday, Laura. It's been a long time since I've enjoyed one like this," Mark said, his voice sincere. I felt a warmth spread through me at his words. I'm glad I could make it special. Happy birthday, Mark. Who knew a simple birthday dinner could kick off a whirlwind like the one Mark and I found ourselves in? Not me, that's for sure. After that night, we started seeing each other more and more. It wasn't long before those casual dates turned into something that felt a lot like, well, like something serious. One chilly evening, we were walking down the street after grabbing a bite at this little dive that Mark loved. He was going on about something funny that happened at his office, his laughter echoing in the cool air. Suddenly, Mark stopped walking and turned to me, his expression serious all of a sudden. "Laura, I've been thinking." "Yeah?" I prompted, a bit taken aback by the sudden shift in mood. "I'm really happy with you. Like, really happy. And I was wondering. What do you think about us moving in together?" He blurted out, his gaze fixed on me. I felt my heart skip a beat. Moving in together? That was a big step. "Mark, I'm happy too, really happy. But don't you think it's a bit soon?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He took my hands in his eyes earnest. Maybe it is, but when something feels this right, why wait? I love you, Laura. And I want us to start building something together. His words sent a wave of warmth through me. Love. He'd said he loved me. And the crazy part? I realized I loved him too. Okay. I said, the word coming out in a whisper. Let's do it. Let's move in together. The smile that lit up Mark's face was worth any doubt or fear I might have had. From that night on, things moved quickly. We found a cozy apartment not too far from where I worked. Packing up my stuff and moving in with Mark felt like the start of a new chapter. It wasn't all smooth sailing, of course. Combining two lives into one space came with its fair share of bumps. Like the time I discovered Mark's insistence on keeping his ancient, ugly recliner right in the middle of our living room. I replied that in return I would put my neon pink flamingo lamp in the room. It was these little moments, these little compromises, that made us stronger, I think. We were figuring it out together, learning to give and take. Then came the talk of marriage. We were lying in bed one night, just talking about everything and nothing, when Mark suddenly turned to me. Laura, marry me. It wasn't a question, more like a statement. No kneeling, no ring in hand, just him and me, and his words hanging in the air between us. I looked into his eyes, saw the love and the seriousness there, and knew my answer. Yes, Mark. I'll marry you. The wedding was a small affair, just as we wanted. My parents, a few close friends, and of course, Alex, Mark's son. I could tell the kid wasn't thrilled about the situation, but he didn't kick up a fuss. Probably didn't want to upset his dad. Life with Mark was mostly smooth sailing, at least until the day he came to me with a request that threw me for a loop. Hey, Laura, can we talk about something? Mark asked one evening, looking a bit uneasy, which was unusual for him. Sure, what's up? I replied, setting down my book. His tone had already put me on alert. It's about Alex, he began, pacing a little. He's got this dream of starting a music band, and he's pretty serious about it. I nodded, encouraging him to continue. Music was a great outlet for teens, after all. Well, he's short on cash for some equipment and stuff. I was wondering, could we help him out? He needs about $10,000. Mark finished, finally stopping to look at me. I almost choked on my tea. $10,000? That's a lot of money, Mark. I know, but it's for a good cause, right? It's his dream. Mark pressed, his eyes searching mine for some sign of agreement. I sighed, feeling a mix of emotions. On one hand, I wanted to support Mark and his son, but on the other, this was a huge amount of money. Let me think about it, okay? In the end, I agreed. Seeing Mark so hopeful and excited about helping his son was touching. But that was just the beginning. A few months later, Mark came to me again. This time, he seemed more anxious. Laura, I hate to ask, but Alex needs more money for the band. Another $10,000, he said quickly, as if trying to get the words out before he could change his mind. I felt my frustration rise. Again, Mark? We just gave him $10,000. Where is all that money going? Mark's face fell, and he became defensive. He's investing in his future, Laura. Don't you think it's worth it? I do, but it's a lot of money. We're not made of cash, you know, I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. The argument that followed was heated. Mark accused me of not caring about Alex's future, and I accused him of not being realistic. It ended with Mark storming out, leaving me alone and bewildered. He returned a few days later, apologetic but still insistent. I'm sorry for blowing up, Laura. But it's important. To me, to Alex. Please. Torn between my love for Mark and my concerns about this seemingly bottomless pit of financial support for Alex's band, I agreed once more. But it didn't sit right with me. Then came the bombshell. Mark, looking more haggard and desperate than I'd ever seen him, asked for $30,000. Mark, this is crazy. $30,000? What's going on? This isn't just about some band, I said, feeling my patience wearing thin. It's for a tour. They've got a real shot, Laura, he stammered, avoiding my gaze. A tour? Mark, you can't expect me to believe this. We need to see some proof, something to show for all this money, I demanded, my voice rising. Mark exploded. Why can't you just trust me, Laura? Why do you always have to make things so difficult? The fight that ensued was ugly, full of accusations and hurtful words. Mark threatened divorce if I didn't agree to give Alex the money. I was stunned. This wasn't the man I married. I asked for time to think, but what I really needed was answers. This situation felt wrong on so many levels, and I was determined to get to the bottom of it. First stop on my detective trail was the internet. I figured if Alex's band was legit, they'd have some kind of online presence. So, I hunkered down with my laptop, typed in the band's name Mark mentioned, and hit search. The results were as barren as a desert, nothing, zip, zilch. Not a single trace of a band that was supposedly on the brink of their big break. Feeling a mix of frustration and vindication, I headed over to Alex's Instagram. If there were any clues to be found, it had to be there. I scrolled through his feed, which was like flipping through a catalog of luxury. Fancy dinners, designer gear, you name it. But among the high-life snapshots, not a single pic hinted at a music career. No instruments, no rehearsal spaces, nothing. Baffled, I decided it was time for some expert advice. I dialed up Danny, a buddy from college who's now deep into the music scene, always on the pulse of the latest bands and trends. Hey Danny, it's me. I started, trying to sound casual. Quick question for you, ever heard of a band called? I gave him the name Mark had fed me. There was a moment of silence on the line, then Danny's confused voice came through. Never heard of them. And trust me, if they were making any waves, I'd know. Why? They any good? I let out a sigh, a mix of disappointment and relief. Nah, just came across the name. Thought I'd check. Thanks, man. Danny's curiosity was piqued. You sure? I can do a bit more digging if you want. No, it's okay. Really. I appreciate it, though, I said, before quickly changing the subject. We chatted for a few more minutes about nothing in particular, before hanging up. There I was, back at square one, but now armed with a bucket load of doubts, and no one to share them with. I didn't breathe a word of this to Mark. How could I? I didn't know whether he was in on this scam or just another pawn in Alex's game. Nah, this needed more digging, and until I had something solid, my lips were sealed. The moment had come to face the music, or, more accurately, the lack thereof. I perched in front of my computer, the green light of the webcam flickering to life. My finger hovered over the Skype icon before pressing it with determination. This wasn't just a call, it was a confrontation. Alex answered, his face filling the screen. He looked relaxed, maybe too relaxed, like he was about to schmooze more money out of me. He didn't know the storm that was coming. Hey, Laura. What's up? He started, all smiles. Cut the crap, Alex. We're not playing this game anymore. There's no band, is there? No music, no gigs, just you, living it up on my dime. I shot back, not giving him an inch. He tried to keep his smile, but I saw it falter. What are you talking about? Of course, there's a... Save it. I've done my homework. Your Instagram's a nice little portfolio of lies. Yeah, your band is as real as a $3 bill. I cut him off, my voice sharp as a knife. For a moment, Alex looked like he was searching for another lie, another angle. But then, his expression shifted, darkened. You're gonna regret poking your nose into this, Laura. I've got friends, the kind that make problems go away. The thread hung in the air, a shadow passing over his face. My heart skipped, fear mingling with anger. But I wasn't about to back down. Threats, Alex? Really? Here's something you should know, this call is being recorded. Every word. Think your friends can handle police heat? Watching his bravado crumble was almost satisfying. His face went from confident to pale, his eyes wide. No, no, no. You can't. I was just. Please, Laura. I made it up, okay? There's no gang, no friends. It's just me. The tears started, his tough act melting away to reveal a scared kid in over his head. But I was past sympathy. All this, for what, Alex? Why the lies? Why the money? He was sobbing now, a mess of regret and fear. I just wanted to be someone, you know? Someone important. The money, the lifestyle. I thought it would make me happy. And you lied to your father? That part of your happiness plan? I pushed, needing him to understand the weight of his actions. He flinched, wiping his eyes. It wasn't supposed to go this far. I found out about him and someone else. Photos. I thought I could use it to. I don't know, get more money, keep up the act. I felt cold, a chill that went bone deep. You have proof? Send it. Now. He didn't argue, quickly tapping away on his end. Moments later, my phone dinged with the incoming evidence. Photos of Mark in the arms of another woman, unmistakable in their betrayal. My heart broke, not just for the marriage I thought I had, but for the man I thought Mark was. Armed with the ugly truth and a heavy heart, I waited for Mark to come home. The air was thick with anticipation, almost suffocating. I rehearsed what I was going to say 1,000,000 times over, but when I heard his key in the door, all my plans flew right out the window. He walked in, tired, the lines on his face more pronounced than ever. Hey, Laura. We need to, he started, but I cut him off. We need to talk. Now. I said, my voice firmer than I felt. Mark paused, looking at me, really looking, and he must have seen something in my eyes because he nodded, setting his bag down with a heaviness that matched my heart. Okay, what's wrong? I took a deep breath, the photos I'd received from Alex burning a hole in my pocket. It's about Alex, and you. I know everything, Mark. His face paled, the blood draining away as if I'd struck him. What do you mean? Laura, Don't you dare lie to me, not now. I've seen the photos, Mark. The ones Alex has been blackmailing you with. Of you and her. I spat out, the words tasting like bile. For a moment, he just stood there, a statue, then he slumped into a chair, his face in his hands. Laura, I don't know what to say. I'm sorry, I never wanted you to find out this way. Sorry? Is that supposed to make everything alright? You cheated on me, Mark. And then you let your son blackmail you into bleeding us dry. My voice was rising, a crescendo of betrayal and hurt. I know. It was a mistake, a terrible mistake. I was going to end it, I swear. And Alex. I didn't know how to handle it. I was scared of losing everything. He mumbled, his voice muffled by his hands. Losing everything? You've already lost it, Mark. You lost me the moment you decided to step out on our marriage. And for what? A fling? To feel young again? I was pacing now, the anger, the hurt, it was all bubbling up. I want a divorce. After the dust settled from our confrontation, the reality of my next steps began to sink in. Mark had retreated to a hotel, leaving me alone in the apartment we once shared, surrounded by memories that now felt like ghosts. I started packing, each item a reminder of the life I thought we were building together. It was surreal, sorting through our belongings, deciding what was mine and what we had shared. The packing didn't take as long as I thought. My life, it seemed, could be condensed into a few suitcases and boxes. A stark reminder of how quickly things can change, how swiftly the familiar can become past. Once everything was packed, I stood in the middle of the now bare living room, a pang of sadness hitting me. This was it. The end of a chapter. I took a deep breath, steeling myself for the next step, and called a taxi. Arriving at the rented place felt like stepping into another world. It was smaller, less personal, but it was a clean slate, a place without the shadows of betrayal. After paying the taxi driver, I hauled my things up to the apartment, the physical exertion a welcome distraction from the turmoil inside. Once inside, surrounded by boxes and suitcases, I finally allowed myself a moment to breathe. The quiet of the apartment was a stark contrast to the storm of emotions I'd been living through. It was in this new silence that I realized the gravity of what had happened, of what I'd done. I'd left my husband, my home, and stepped into the unknown. Needing to hear a friendly voice, I picked up my phone and dialed Sarah, the friend whose birthday party had changed my life all those years ago. She answered on the second ring, her voice a balm to my frayed nerves. "Hey, it's me," I started, my voice steadier than I felt. "Hey, what's up? You sound off," she replied, her tone immediately shifting to concern. I took a deep breath, the words tumbling out. "I left Mark. I found out about everything. The affair, the lies, Alex's blackmail. I couldn't stay there, in that apartment, with all those memories." There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. "Oh my God, Laura, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Where are you?" "I'm in a rented apartment. Just needed to get away, to start figuring things out on my own," I explained, trying to keep the tremor out of my voice. "Laura, I'm here for you, whatever you need." I can't believe he would do that to you," Sarah said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thanks, Sarah. It means a lot. I just need some time, to process all of this." Hanging up, I felt a small sense of comfort, a reminder that despite everything, I wasn't completely alone. The first few weeks after leaving Mark were a blur of emotions and paperwork. The divorce proceedings were underway, a seemingly endless stream of signatures and legalities that felt both freeing and suffocating. The end of my marriage had sent ripples through my life, changing not just my future but Mark's as well. He's been having a rough time. The story got out, about the affair and the blackmail. It's affected his job, his reputation. It was a sobering thought, one that made me realize the depth of the fallout from our shattered relationship. In the days that followed, I threw myself into work and started exploring new hobbies, anything to rebuild the pieces of myself that had been lost in the turmoil. Slowly, I began to find joy in the little things, a coffee at a new cafe, a book that made me think, a jog in the park that cleared my mind. One afternoon, I decided to visit an art class, something I'd always wanted to try but never had the courage to do. There, covered in paint and laughing at my own lack of skill, I felt a spark of something new. It wasn't just about moving on from Mark, it was about rediscovering who I was without him. Just when I thought I was finding my new normal, my phone rang with a number I hadn't expected to see again, Alex's. "Hey." His voice came through, tentative, a stark contrast to the bravado and deceit that had marked our last exchanges. I hesitated, the old hurt flaring up for a moment, before I pushed it down. "Alex, what's up?" I just wanted to say I'm sorry, for everything. I messed up, big time. I realized I was chasing all the wrong things, for all the wrong reasons," he said, the words rushed, like he'd been rehearsing them. I listened, the silence on my end prompting him to continue. "It's just, I never really got much attention from Dad, And money, we never had enough. I thought if I could just live that life, even for a little while, it'd make things better. But I was wrong," he admitted, his voice laced with something that sounded a lot like regret. "Alex, I forgive you. But you need to understand, going down that path, using people, lying, it's only going to bring you more trouble," I said, my tone more gentle than I would have expected of myself. There was a pause, and then a quiet, "I know. I'm going to change, I promise. No more lies, no more schemes. I'm done with that life." His words held a note of sincerity that I hadn't heard from him before. It was enough to make me believe that maybe, just maybe, he was ready to turn a new leaf. "Good. Stick to that promise, Alex. It's never too late to start making the right choices," I encouraged, a part of me hoping he'd take my words to heart. We ended the call soon after, and I found myself staring at the phone long after the line had gone dead. Alex's apology and the promise of change were unexpected but welcome. It was a small step towards closing a painful chapter for both of us. In the days that followed, I threw myself even more into my work, my art, and my friendships. Each brushstroke on the canvas, each laugh shared with friends, felt like a declaration of my resilience, a testament to my ability to move forward,